Do you know someone who, as a child, seemed more adult than the adults around them? Or maybe you yourself had to grow up too soon. This phenomenon is more common than we think, and psychology has a name for it: accelerated growth. Today I'll explain why it happens and how it affects people when they reach adulthood. It all begins when a child goes through situations that should be handled by adults, taking care of siblings, solving family problems, facing difficult environments, or carrying responsibilities that don't match their age. When this happens, the mind adapts to survive, not because it wants to mature, but because it has no other choice. One of the most common consequences is what's called parentification. This is when the child ends up acting like the adult of the household. Maybe they calmed their parents, resolved conflicts, or took care of others. Psychology explains that these children develop emotional maturity very early, but they also learn to ignore their own needs. Another trait is hyper-control. These children learn that if they don't take care of things, no one else will. That's why, as adults, they struggle to delegate, trust, or relax. Their brains are used to being on alert. There's also extreme independence. Many grew up hearing, "You can handle it on your own," or "There's no time for your problems." This creates adults who feel that asking for help is a burden to others. They're strong on the outside, but inside they're tired. And we can't ignore the emotional side. Children who grew up too fast often have difficulty identifying what they feel. They learn to shut down their emotions so they wouldn't be in the way, worry others, or so they could keep going. As adults, this turns into emotional disconnection, anxiety, or fear of being vulnerable. But here's something important. These people also develop incredible skills. They tend to be empathetic, responsible, protective, and very resilient. They're the ones who always know what to do in a crisis. Their emotional maturity often surpasses that of many people their age. The problem isn't having grown up fast. The problem is never having allowed yourself to be a child. That's why many adults who grew up this way are now learning something that should have come earlier. Resting, asking for help, expressing emotions, and allowing themselves to be cared for. If you grew up too fast, you're not alone. Your strength isn't a coincidence, but it's also not an obligation. You can learn to let go a little, to trust, and to allow life not to always depend on you. Tell me in the comments if you identify with any of these traits. And if you want more videos about psychology explained in a simple way, subscribe to the channel.